Welcome to My People's Truth. Every Friday, my podcast dives into untold stories, unfiltered struggles, and the different experiences that Black people go through in today's society. I'm your host, Ayana Johnson, and we're here to confront the uncomfortable head on. The topic that I first want to talk about, first episode right off the bat, feeling disconnected with Black culture. I feel like that is a very taboo topic. The lack of connection got stripped away from our culture. As an African American myself, I feel like we made ourselves our own culture because we got stripped away from our original culture. So what I mean by that is before slavery and all that stuff happened, I feel like that's where it started, and everything now is whitewashed and washed down. Don't let that go over your head. It just makes it so much more surreal because of how social media portrays Black culture to be, and every other ethnicity piggybacking off of our culture and doing, I'm gonna say it, basically culture appropriation. I would say, me personally, 9 times out of 10 is what happens. And I'm not gonna say not every Black person culture appropriates other cultures, but I'm saying for the most part, everybody else culture appropriates off of our culture that we created here in America as Black people. So it definitely feels a little bit harder. Our culture is just pushed on the back burner, and it's not like the main point of curriculum in schools. Black culture is an elective, and it is not part of the main curriculum. It is not taught in schools. It is an option. I'm gonna say that one more time. It is an option in schools, and the only Black culture that is in schools, of course, is the main topic, which is slavery. And instead of talking about in school our accomplishments that we've done, they like to talk about what they did to us and how they tore us down, how they still have the power or power over us. They don't want to talk about our accomplishments and everything that Black people created and invented, and everything in the upbringing and uplifting besides Rosa Parks, Dr. Martin Luther King on freaking Black History Month. They want to talk about everything else that's not pertain to what we accomplished as Black people so far and how far we've come. You have to research that in order for you to get a real understanding of Black culture, of who we are, who we were, and all this other stuff, instead of it being taught in the schools, which of course they're not going to teach it in schools because it is America. Not even in America, but I'm pretty sure in general, not a lot of schools teach Black culture as their main curriculum. I'm pretty sure it's an elective in other places of the world too, but I'm just saying, in America, that's what it is. That's what it is. Sad to say that, but it is what it is right now. I feel like because of most Black people not knowing where they come from or their culture, like me, I'm half Native American and the other half Black. So the other half of me not knowing, feeling disconnected, I'm pretty sure you feel the same way, of not knowing exactly where you come from in your culture, and you want to learn more about it. Your original culture is very hard because you feel like, well, I feel like, I'm not gonna say what you feel like, but I feel like it is way harder to really just get a grasp of who I am or where I come from. And I feel like that plays a part in, or like a missing piece of who I am, or I feel like I'm missing something that I should know and I should have, but I don't have the pieces for. It's like a puzzle, but I don't have the correct pieces for the puzzle because I don't know where the pieces are. And so that plays into and probably plays into your identity as well, because it's like, I want to know more about where I'm from, but I don't. And it is very hard to find the information. I know that we have, the internet and everything, but it's still very hard to find the correct information about who I am and where I come from. And there's always, I feel like, going to be that disconnect because of, history and how it played out in itself. and I'm pretty sure you feel the same way too. I feel like the only way that we as Black people or Black African Americans in America can preserve some type of culture, like I'm saying, is the culture that we created here in America, and also try our best to do research about our history, even though it's kind of hard to know where exactly you come from, but it's still good to, take those extracurricular classes to learn more about just Black people in general, even if it's not where you come from specifically. I feel like it just helps more and gives you more of a pride in who you are as a Black person and your self identity. Like, it helps you be proud to be Black, and sometimes I know it's hard, especially in today's society or even back then, but there's moments where everybody feels Black, and then there's moments where you feel proud to be a Black person. If you know. I don't even want to dive into that conversation until another week. And during those times where you are researching, I will find like the best times to do that, or the most appropriate times will just be to teach your kids, your family, your children about, Black history and all that stuff. Not just during Black History Month, even though that's a great great start, is to learn during that month of who you are, who you came from, all the accomplishments, all the inventions that Black people has made, created for this world that people don't even know is so wild. But like in today's society, the everyday stuff that we use was created by Black people, and not a lot of people know. So I would say just definitely educate yourself and get educated, and share the information, because not a lot of Black people know about their own history, our own accomplishments, and it's so wild because of how well the schools hide the information. Or not, I'm not gonna say hide information, but they just don't say it, or like they don't, I don't know, they just don't willingly give you the information. Basically, you have to do all the digging yourself, do all the research yourself, is what I'm saying. So I'm not going to rant about that. I'm not going to rant about that anymore. And if you keep seeing me look to the side, it's because I have notes on my laptop and I'm recording on my laptop. This is the first episode, so bear with me. It'll probably get better as time goes on, but next topic. People from Africa, right? They did not get stripped away from Africa, and they remained in Africa, grew up there, and have their culture tied to their roots there, right? Then there's the people that were from Africa, stripped away, slavery, all that, generations down the line. Now, babies and African Americans, boom, have African Americans. Now, what I'm saying is the African Americans, such as myself, not feeling Black enough because I am not culturally tied to my African roots from Africa originally. If you see where I'm going with this, I'm trying to word it the best way I can, but just basically like the hard topic of feeling African American instead of just feeling African, because we are, but we're not but we are. Most people that didn't get ripped from their culture from Africa disagree and say, no, you're not African, you're African American, because guess what, we're not tied to the roots. We don't practice the culture of Africans in Africa. We practice the culture that we made up of African Americans in America. It's very annoying because one, I want to learn about, I'm ongoing forever trying to learn about roots in Africa and their culture and their studies and stuff like that. But it's like the melting pot is so big and so small at the same time, because you don't know which culture you would like to study, because you don't even know which one you're from. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Is it's harder to get into, because how do you get into something that you don't even know which one you're getting into? It's like a plethora of cultures, plethora of things that people do, rituals and all that, studies. In some parts of Africa, people still do voodoo, and other parts of Africa, people are Christians. And so it's like a lot to try to figure out which direction you want to go in, because you don't even know which direction you're originally in or originally from. That's, I feel like, the biggest thing for me, or the hardest thing for me. Another thing that we can do is build communities within the places that you live. Connect, go out in your neighborhoods or go out in your towns. Reach out to Facebook groups or Instagram groups or TikTok groups and learn more about your culture, learn more about languages and all this other stuff. Because we do have the internet today, I feel like it is easier in that aspect to at least try. That is the best that you can do, is try, and that's what I've done. That's what I've been doing, is trying and researching as much as I can, even if it's not tied to one specific culture. Is within the Black culture in general, Black people culture in general, but it's not tied to one specific Black person's culture, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm saying. You could at least try to do some of those things and educate yourself. And I feel like the more you get educated about it, the better that you are, the better off you are with, feeling connected in some way, even if it's not directly connected to your history. You are at least involved in it. It's important to know how far we've come as Black people. Like I said in the beginning, it is very important to at least, search up a lot of the accomplishments that we've done, all the things that we've learned as Black people, how far we've come from a long time ago, especially, slavery and all that. I don't really know if I can say that, but whatever, it happened and we need to talk about it, and it needs to be talked about instead of being swept under the rug because of how the media downplays it so much. Every once in a while, just get a refresher, do something in community, be who you are, learn about who you are, learn about specifically who you are, learn about the Black people before you. It's important. It's very important. Instead of just showing kids slave movies and traumatizing them through that, I feel like it would be much better if you were just to show them yourself, do some research yourself. I feel like it's so important to instill that so they know who they are. They know all the things, all the other good things that Black people have created, because Black people are so freaking creative. It's so crazy. We don't even realize how powerful we are and how creative we are. We got ripped away from our own culture. Even though we got ripped away from our own culture, we still somehow managed to create our own culture. And the thing about it is, people still in America today, in society today, and every other place in the world wants to leech off of the culture that we created in America, even though we got ripped away from our original culture. Now that's some crazy stuff. But I'm not going to rant for too long. I'm not going to disturb your peace for too long. I'm your host, Ayana Johnson, on My People's Truth. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you next week, Friday.